Congratulations! You found the house you love. While writing your offer, your agent asks, how much earnest money are you going to put down? Wait, what? What is an earnest money deposit? When is earnest money required? Do you know what an earnest money deposit is? Do you know when earnest money is required? What happens to it? Do you have the answers to these questions? Probably not. Stay tuned because we're going to talk about what is earnest money and more today. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Bob Weibrecht. I'm a Missouri licensed realtor with Coldwell Banker Realty Gundaker in St. Louis, Missouri since 2002. I publish a new video about the residential real estate market in and around the St. Louis region every Wednesday, and you do not want to miss a thing. Let's get to why you stopped by, and that is, what is an earnest money deposit and when is earnest money required? An earnest money deposit is also known as a good faith deposit. It is sent along with the purchase offer documents, along with the buyer's pre-approval letter to the seller. If the seller accepts the offer, both parties enter into a purchase agreement and the earnest money is deposited within 10 days. More on that later. The earnest money deposit is not a home loan down payment. Briefly, the earnest money deposit shows the seller that the buyer is serious about buying their home. It gives the seller a monetary assurance that the buyer will not back out of the agreement. The earnest money is not returned to the buyer at the closing. It appears as a credit on their closing statement. Now, versus a down payment. A down payment is required by certain mortgage loan types, such as a conventional loan or FHA loan. It could be as high as 20% of the accepted offer price. The amount of the down payment varies depending on the borrower's credit and what funds they have available. And before you ask, there are loans that do not require a down payment, such as a VA or USDA type loans. Check with a reputable lender in your area to find out which you qualify for. Pro tip, when writing a purchase agreement, it is best to make your highest and best offer first. This includes an earnest money deposit. If you are genuinely interested in the home, making the earnest money deposit as large as possible could be the deciding factor between getting the home or not. How much is the earnest money deposit and when is the earnest money required? These are good questions, and here are your answers. The typical earnest money deposit is around 1 to 3% of the offer price and is market dependent. For example, if the buyer's purchase offer is accepted on a $300,000 home, the earnest money deposit could be anywhere from $3,000 to $9,000. Check with your local agent for what is typical in your market. The earnest money deposit is given when a purchase agreement is sent to the seller or within 2 days from the acceptance date unless otherwise specified. The deposit can be in the form of a personal check or electronic funds transfer made payable to a reputable third party. Cash is not accepted. Check with a local agent to see what the preferred method is in your market. At this time, you're wondering what happens to the earnest money. That's a great question. I'm glad you're on top of things. The earnest money deposit is made out to the neutral third party, not the seller. The neutral third party deposits the earnest money within 10 days into a non-interest bearing account. Here in the St. Louis region, the neutral party may be a real estate brokerage, title or escrow company, or a legal firm. If neither the buyer nor the seller pull out of the purchase agreement, the entire amount of the earnest money deposit is credited to the buyer during the closing process. Upon accepting a purchase agreement, the seller's home is removed from the market. The purchase agreement is processed to close on the home on a specified date. During this processing time, any number of things could happen that would make the deal fall apart. When this happens, the seller must relist their home and could take a financial hit. So who receives the earnest money It's really dependent on the reason for the deal falling apart. What could cause the buyer's earnest money to be lost? It typically happens when the buyer does not fulfill their end of the agreement, such as getting cold feet and wanting out of the transaction. Remember, the earnest money deposit gives the seller monetary assurance that the buyer will not back out of a purchase agreement without a valid cause, such as they are unable to attain their loan commitment or another contingency not being met. What would cause the buyer's earnest money to be returned? Usually it's due to a sale contingency not being met. Some contingencies here in the St. Louis market are the appraisal, the loan commitment, home inspections, insurability, title and survey, and the sale of the buyer's home. For example, if the buyer is unable to get a loan commitment in the period specified in the purchase agreement, the purchase would be canceled and the earnest money returned to the buyer. To make their purchase offer even more appealing to the seller, the buyer could waive any and all of their contingencies. This is one of the tactics used in a hot seller's market like the one we're currently in. Another tactic is to shorten contingency deadlines, such as the 10-day inspection period or the 30-day loan commitment. Shortening contingency deadlines are usually not recommended since contingencies are included in the purchase agreement to protect the buyer. So now you know what earnest money deposit is. But did you know there's even more to explore about the St. Louis region? Click right up here because I made a video called A Good Place to Live, the St. Louis region. I hope you find it useful and informative. If you liked this video, and I know you did, leave a comment to tell me if you're considering a trip to the St. Louis region. Click the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified about new videos that I post every Wednesday about living in the St. Louis region. And as always, make it a great day.